Hello, hello and welcome, friends. It's another great day at the Rotary Club of Cincinnati. It's February 2nd, and we have another great program in store. Dr. Bret Betz is here. Dr. Betz is the team physician for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's also the team physician for Miami Athletics. Dr. Betz, I wish we were all draped in orange and black today. I really still have not totally come to grips with Sunday. I think I'm going through all the stages of grief, and I have not hit acceptance. However, we are very much looking forward to your presentation, and as you know, today is Groundhog Day, and Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow this morning and is predicting 6 more weeks of winter. While that is unfortunate news, I do have it on good authority that Phil is looking ahead and predicts a Bengals Super Bowl in 2024. Thank you, Phil. Let's begin the meeting with the national anthem, led by Bill Stilley and accompanied by Janet Metzelar, followed by the 4-way test and invocation by Kay Atkins. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, President Steve. Let us pray. We are grateful for all that we have, including the challenges we face in our work and our personal lives. Our challenges are opportunities to learn and grow in our families and in our communities. We champion those in our community who invest in their work and seek excellence. We all want to live in a region where families and individuals of all ages can live, work, play, and thrive. This region appreciates its sports teams at every level, from the Pee Wee leagues to the Olympics and from high school to college to the professional sports teams. We treasure all the community volunteers, coaches, players, support staff, and fans. We give a very special thank you to Joe Burrow from Athens, Ohio, and our Cincinnati Bengals for an amazing season. Cincinnati treasures our great team. We are especially grateful for the health and medical professionals who translate what the medical research scientists keep discovering and creating into their finest efforts at helping all of us to be healthy. We are grateful for the amazing progress made in helping our athletes stay healthy or when injuries occur, provide the best care possible for their return to a full recovery. Amen. Now let us repeat the 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Hey, projector. Okay, thank you for that lovely invocation, and thank you, Bill, and thank you, Janet, for your playing. Next, we're going to welcome our guests and prospective members with Rob Hageman. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you, as always, President Steve. I'll continue building off what Kay said as far as being thankful and grateful. We have wonderful guests with us today, so if you would, please stand and be recognized. We're going to start off with Todd Anderson from the Hyde Park Community United Methodist Church, who is a guest of Jim Young. We have Aaron Bly with the Cincinnati Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, who is a guest of Patsy Bond. We have Emil Brown with the AMSJ International, who is a guest of Charles Pierce. We have Tom Crawford, who is also with the Cincinnati Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, who is a guest of Jim Yunker. We have Steve Kutzenborder, who is with Wood and Lamping, who is a guest of Mark Reckman. Amber Dawson, who is with Amber Dawson Photography, who is a guest of Melinda Kelly. And we have Stephen Dawson, who is also with Amber Dawson Photography, also a guest of Melinda Kelly. We have Dr. Carol Egner, who is a guest of Ariel Miller. We have Eric Hill with Richwood Investment Advisors, who is a guest of Sam Scoggins. Steve Schlegel with the FSO Institute, who is a guest of Dan Long. We have Billy Worsel, who is with First Financial Bank and is a guest of Chuck Martz. And last but certainly not least, the wife of our wonderful speaker, Bret, today is Emily Betz.
Hey, welcome guests and prospective members. We're so thrilled you're here. Come back and join us in service. Speaking of joining the club, we actually have 2 new member introductions today. We're going to start off with Dan Long, who'll be introducing his friend Alan Miller. Dan and Alan, come on down.
Thank you, King Steve. It's my pleasure to introduce a good friend of mine, Al Miller. Al Miller moved to Cincinnati in November of '76 to work at the Christ Hospital. His responsibilities included a wide variety of administrative functions, such as strategic planning, environmental services, plant operations, and real estate. Later, the Christ Hospital and UC Medical Center merged and became the Health Alliance. Alan assumed the corporate position for that organization of vice president in charge of planning. The Health Alliance evolved into today's UC Health. Over those years, Al had major roles in the development of the Linder Center of Hope in Mason and the Gardner Neuroscience Institute on Martin Luther King Drive in Clifton. Al left UC Health in October of '21. Alan volunteers time with St. Vincent de Paul through Christ the King Parish, of which both of us are members of Christ the King, and both of us are Vincentians at Christ the King, and with the Hamilton County Parks. Alan lives in Mount Lookout with his wife of 40 years, Ann. He has 3 adult daughters and 2 grandchildren. He enjoys golf, hunting, fishing, and old cars. He is pleased to join the ranks of the Rotary Club number 17. Please give a warm Rotary welcome to Al Miller. And as the chair of the Membership Development Committee, I think it's only fair for me to say that all it takes is, Al is a neighbor of mine. So just spend 5 minutes, think of a neighbor of yours in your neighborhood. Al is in an organization with me. So think of other organizations that you belong to. Think along those lines of potential members. Al is also a member of our church. So when you're in church the next time, look around, think about somebody that you see in church that might make a good Rotarian. So Al checks the box, and I hope you will check the box as well and look for new members. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. You want to get a picture with Al on the other side?
Sure.
No, we're looking at Nancy right here. Thank you. Welcome, Al. Thank you, Dan. And thanks for the plug for membership development. Come on up, Jim Cunningham. It is my pleasure to introduce my friend Jim Cunningham. Jim and I first spoke last summer when I got a notification from Rotary International that Jim had an interest in a local Rotary club. So after we spoke and after some travel in the summer and the fall, we invited Jim to come back. He attended several meetings. He met some great people, and he said, gosh, I think I need to get involved in this club. And here we are. Jim is a native Cincinnatian. He attended Summit, St. X, and Miami. Recently returned to the Queen City about 2 years ago. In between undergrad and his return, Jim moved to Washington, D.C., and then overseas. Jim's background is in foreign affairs, specifically international business. He worked for over 20 years for the Foreign Service at various U.S. embassies, Mexico, Brazil, India, Southeast Europe, Hong Kong. He's currently a partner in an international business consulting firm based in San Francisco. So it shouldn't come as a big surprise that Jim is jumping into work with the World Affairs Committee. Thank you, Chuck. Jim has a long history of service work, volunteering for organizations such as Habitat for Humanity and Big Brothers. He recently joined Pro Seniors as a volunteer ombudsman, advocating for long-term care residents and putting to use his graduate law degree in dispute resolution. Jim, I have a dispute to resolve with the officiating crew from Sunday. Do you think you're with me? So, all right. On a personal note, for all his travel and time away from Cincinnati, Jim reports there's no place like home. You can't find Cincinnati chili in Romania, and Aglamisi's coffee chip doesn't ship well to Brazil. Let's give a warm welcome to Jim Cunningham. All right, the first Tuesday happy hour is back for February. And here to tell you all about it is Esteban Calle. Is Esteban, I'm looking for you, Esteban. Are you here? There you are, you're making the rounds. Come on down, Esteban. Delighted that it's back. Looking forward to next Tuesday.
Just hiding away. Good afternoon, Club 17. So, are you looking for a way to kick off the month of February with a bang? Look no further, because we've got just the thing. On February 7th, we invite you to join us for a night of networking, fellowship, and of course, drinks. And the best part, your first drink is sponsored by Dave Sensi with LTD Landscapes. We decided to shake things up and make this one awesome happy hour event. Whether you're looking for new connections, catch up with old friends, or just unwind after a long day at work, this is the place to be. So don't miss the opportunity to expand your network and have some fun. We will meet next Tuesday from 4:30 to 6:30 at Nation Kitchen Bar, located at 203 Mill Street in Milford. Nation Kitchen and Bar has the best burger in Cincinnati per Cincy City Beat magazine. It's across the street from Little Miami Brewing Corporation and next to Cincinnati Distilling. RSVPs are not required but encouraged. So put on a smile, grab your business cards, and join us at our happy hour next Tuesday. We can't wait to see you there. Thank you.
I was looking at the pictures of Nations Bar and Grill online. It's in downtown Milford, historic, beautiful building. Looking forward to it, Esteban. Thanks for chairing that event. Next, for a word about the final week of nominations for the Jefferson Awards, we welcome the 2021 Jefferson Award winner, Katie Nziku. Come on down, Katie. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. It's good to be back. I see some familiar faces in the room. So 2 years ago, I had the honor to represent Cincinnati at the national level, and we were able to receive the award. So just thank you so much for that. And so I'm excited to be back here today, and I got to bring my daughter with me. I just wanted to show her and give her just a real experience of how success is really about the people that you're surrounded with and the way people use their influence to elevate the platform for you, as so many of you in this room did. And thank you, Dr. Bret. The fact that you are here today helped her want to come. She has wanted to go in sports medicine her whole life, so we're really excited to hear from you today as well. I think a big thing that is really important that I want to highlight today is just the awareness that the impact that you all have in the room being part of the Rotary Club has, and really thinking about who are people that you know that need this platform to elevate the important work that they are doing in the community. And not just about the impact at that individual level, but the ripple effect that you could potentially create because you took the time to nominate someone for this amazing opportunity. You know, when I first received this award, it was because of Janet Burns. She was an old colleague of mine that decided to do that. And because of that, hundreds of you got to know about the work of Found Village. And then we got to take it to a national stage where thousands of people got to experience the work and the transformational power of what was happening within the community of Cincinnati. And the thing that was really unique, if you guys remember, in 2020, we didn't get to go to DC because it was still COVID. So I got to watch the national announcements on my couch, surrounded by my family, my husband, and so many people within our community got to tune in. And what was so special about that, it just really drove home the point that this award wasn't just about me and elevating me and the work of Found Village. It was also about elevating the sacrifices of my family, our donors, our community, our supporters, and just really validating that all the effort and all the things we have put into the work, other people saw the value too. And so that is such an honoring thing, not only for the nominees, but for all the people that have contributed to the success of the nominees, some of them the organizations that they support. And out of that, what it also has come is you think about the ripple effects of that. So that was 2 years ago, you guys. And what has come since the last 2 years has been a lot of local recognition. We are now United Way partners. We have dozens of national foundations and supporters now. And what is even more incredible is that we have recognition on a national stage. So we have been selected by an organization called Stand Together that invests in organizations across the US. They vetted us for an entire year. And they choose entrepreneurial leaders who have a transformational model to create bottom-up, true transformational change within their communities. And we have had hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in us as an organization and as leaders. And I know I can't directly say, okay, that is because of the Jefferson Award, that is because of the Rotary Club, but I know without a doubt that it has impacted our ability to get this level of recognition and support, and I believe that this growth of us really kicked off with the Jefferson Award. So I just want to encourage everybody in this room to really use your influence. Where can you platform another leader in our city and give them this opportunity for all of these ripple effects to take place within our city and also within our nation. And I just want to thank everybody that participated in nominating us and giving us this opportunity.
Wow, Katie, thank you so much for that testimony. She's right. There could be an unsung hero that one of you knows about who just needs your nomination, and we still have a week. And the nomination form is not too intimidating. So we have time. The Jefferson Award Committee is ready for your nominations. And Katie, thank you for your work. I'm so delighted for that update about Found Village. What a tremendous success. And thank you for being a member of this club. It's just great. for this brief musical interlude. If you remember, last week we made a wager with the Kansas City Club. It is going to be my least favorite part of this meeting, that we have to cheer on the Kansas City Chiefs. In the spirit of goodwill, though, I am going to swallow my pride. At the end of this meeting, we were going to get the Kansas City Club 13 on the Zoom. Let's hope their sound works. If our sound happens to cut out, we have plausible deniability here. We've been trying to get it to work. But we will cheer our fellow brothers and sisters in Kansas City. We will wish them well. But their fight song is terrible. We are going to play their fight song. The words are Red Kingdom. And I think that's about the only word that you'll be able to understand because it goes really fast. So we were going to cheer them on, and we're going to play Red Kingdom, and I am going to be very enthusiastic. But it'll be around 1:25 when we get it all together, and hopefully our Zoom call will all be working just fine. Now that are we good, team? Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for getting that working. Wes Botto is the club treasurer. Wes wanted to give an update on mid-year update on club finances. Thank you, Wes. Take it away.
Thank you, President Steve. I can't wait to hear your rendition of the anthem or the fight song. That'll be great. I'm very happy that I do not have to do that. This sounds really easy compared to that job. So yes, I am the club treasurer, happy to be in that role. And you all might recall that prior to me becoming treasurer in July, one of the things that the board decided to do was actually separate out the secretary role and the treasurer role, which has been great for me because I don't have to do the secretary stuff. But it actually, beside that, it actually allows me to spend a lot more time focusing on the finances of the club. So some of those things that I do are helping our esteemed executive director anytime any finance type questions come up, updating the board on things like budget to actual as the year goes on, various finance related questions that come up for the club. Also, one thing that you all may not know is that you're familiar with the move that the club did to DAC-DB. Many of you have engaged with that in some form or fashion, signing up for events or logging on. Hopefully all you all are getting familiar with that platform. But we also use DAC-DB as a bookkeeping platform as well. And that has not been without its challenges, I have to admit. And so I've been helping out with that. And so but it's been good. We're making good progress there. Also, we've been meeting regularly with the finance committee. Greg Hartley, I don't know if you're in here today. Greg is a tremendous help for the club, great Rotarian, and then soon, of course, we'll begin the budgeting process for the next fiscal year. So I have here on the slide just a brief update. Wanted to keep it high level. When we do the club assembly, I'll have some beautiful charts and graphs for you visually oriented folks. But just a few words here. So you all probably know that the fiscal year for the club runs mid-year, so 1st of July through 6/30. So as of 12/31, halfway through the year, and that's what these numbers that I'm talking to you about are through. So the good news is we're in line with the budget through 12/31. And although we did experience a decrease in revenues, primarily related to membership, decrease in membership dues, so net members are down 20 for the year through 12/31. So that, of course, impacts the revenues there. But there's been an offsetting decrease in expenses, primarily lunch expense. Also, I mean, I do have to hand it to Sarah. She's very on top of the expense side and really very fiscally responsible there. Let's see, what else we got here? So the way that we design the budget is to be break even. When there is a deficit there, the club does have just under $400,000 of investments, assets. A big portion of that's in cash, and so we dip into that as necessary. And let's see, I think that's probably good there. Let's see, okay, cool. I could figure that one out. So let's see. For those of you that don't know, so that's kind of the update as far as the half of the year. But one of the things that I've learned when I became club treasurer is how the club functions. Money in, money out, where's it coming from? So you all may not be aware that the primary sources of revenue for the club are, as you would guess, membership dues. And then also the lunch income, which you're experiencing now. Most of that's designed to be break even. Most of that comes in is going right back out the door. And then also the administrative service charge, which that's actually money that comes in from the foundation, but that's because the club itself pays for some of the expenses that are related to the foundation, such as salaries for the employees. So, President Steve, that is my financial update. Any questions that anybody has, I'm available. So happy to talk through anything that anybody wants to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you, Wes. You have been a tremendous service to the board, and your financial stewardship and your talents are very welcome. And I know that in concert with Sarah and Christy, you guys are doing a great job keeping us on firm ground. Couple of announcements. Split the pot. It's getting interesting. We have a $46 winner, and we have a $1,228 pot. The winner gets the 46 for sure, and a chance for the 1,228. And you must be a club member to draw for the Queen of Hearts. The last four digits are 9526. 9526. Do we have a winner? Hey, Jody DeVoyd. Take a shot, Jody. Could be your lucky day. Hey, Six of Clubs, so close. Next time, Jody, next time. The plot thickens. Birthdays. We have two birthdays to celebrate today. One of them is tomorrow. Brad Green, happy birthday. There you are, Brad. Now, the other birthday is someone with whom we all hold dear. Someone is actually born today, February 2nd. It is Christy Sushek's birthday. Christy, would you come down here for just a minute? Would you come down here for just a minute? Just a minute. You know, I have been known to sing a tune or two, but today we're all going to sing happy birthday to you. Come on over. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Christy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Christy. You didn't get a picture? You got a video. All right, well, we'll be all right. All right, we have a new event to put on the calendar, a save the date for FC Cincinnati game, Saturday, April 22nd. Join us for Rotary Club of Cincinnati, night at FC Cincinnati, TQL Stadium, Saturday, April 22nd, 7:30 versus the Portland Timbers. We have 96 tickets available for Rotarians, friends, families, and prospective members. The Cost is $32 a ticket and can be purchased today. In bold letters, in all caps, all tickets must be purchased by March 30th. No tickets available after this date. This is very anti-Rotary, by the way, because we are very late to the punch. But this is going to really test us, isn't it? So March 30th, put your tickets in early. You can pay for and reserve those tickets on DACDB even as we speak. And finally, Family of Rotary. Rotarian and director Ed Mathis shared the unfortunate news that his wife, Taiwana, is beginning treatment for breast cancer. Please keep Ed, Taiwana, and their 4 young children in your thoughts and prayers. Let's hope Taiwana is back to full strength quickly. Are we good on audio-visual? Are we ready to go? I would like to turn this program over to Jack Scott to introduce Dr. Betz.
Thank you, President Steve. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Today I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Bret Betz. First, I think you need to know our history. I've sat under a tree with him in the rain, calling turkeys on his family farm in Alabama. I go to his family farm, have been going there for over 30 years. But that's not the real story, that's just part of it. My relationship with the Betz family spans almost 7 decades and 4 generations. Bret's great-great-uncle was a business partner of my father and family friends. One of his great-great-uncles was my bus driver in school. Bet's grandfather, Fred Betz, who I know Mike LaValle, I think knows him, maybe some others, was a prominent local architect and developer. He first became a client of mine, but then it grew into a friendship. And then there's Dennis Betz. Dennis was Bret's father, and he was the CEO of Centennial Bank. Some of you may have known him through the banking industry, quite outgoing, very involved in West Side and all things. That friendship actually began in 1989 on a golf course. And I'm not a golfer, I'm a terrible golfer. But we were actually there watching the LPGA. And it was kind of interesting how it evolved. And then most recently, there's Bret. I watched him turn into an amazing man, husband, father, physician, and most importantly, a special friend. Unfortunately, no business has resulted from that relationship as it did in the 3 generations before. So that's probably the only downside. Although Bret did mention that he may be able to get me on the list as a cadaver for research. But I thought about it not very long, and I declined, but I do want to keep that friendship intact. Now to Bret. Many of you read Bret's information in our E-Rays. Bret's a Cincinnati product. He attended St. X. Any St. X guys out there? Played football and baseball there. I think they finished runner-up in football one year while you were on the team. He was on the team for 4 years, played 4 years. He then went to Davidson and played a year of football there, then transferred to The Ohio State University. Any of The Ohio State University fans out there? There you go. Where he ultimately attended medical school. He was a resident at University Hospital and later a sports medicine fellow. Bret, as you read, is a part of the staff there and a member of the 5-person medical staff attending the Bengals. He also serves Miami University, and I believe even works with some of the local high schools during their events. Bret lives in Mount Lookout with his lovely wife, Emily, who has been introduced, and they have 3 young daughters, so I can associate with that. I had 3 daughters, and some of the others in this room do. Bret and Emily, I can tell you from experience, I can shed a lot of light on what lies ahead for you all with 3 daughters. It's interesting. Bret, you may want to get another job. Not that you have any time, but the more you're away, the more tolerable it becomes. When not practicing and serving the community, Bret enjoys the outdoors, particularly time in the outdoors with his family. We're pleased to have Bret speaking today. Little did we know when Sarah and I worked with Bret to engage the state what lie ahead, because that all occurred back in early last fall. And I think most of you probably watched what happened on TV on January the 2nd. Some of you may have been there, but certainly I would think all of you heard about what happened on January the 2nd. Bret's here to tell us a little bit about his role as a physician and particularly serving in sports medicine. Bret?
Well, thank you, Jack, for that very special introduction there. Thank you to the Rotarians of Cincinnati. I first had an experience here where I came for a meeting this fall, and that was my first introduction to the Rotary Club. And so thank you all for everything you do for Cincinnati and the community that we serve. Jack, again, thank you for that incredible introduction. Our families go back a long time and a long history. As Jack said, Jack knew my father. We reconnected about 15 years ago, turkey hunting in Alabama, sitting quietly next to trees. Unfortunately, I don't think it was a good hunt, but it was a good bonding experience. And Jack and I have stayed in touch ever since then. When Jack reached out to me this past August to speak about being a team physician for the Bengals, I had no idea what I would actually be talking about today, and a lot of the things I didn't think I would be talking about today. It's been a very interesting medical year for the NFL. We talk about Damar Hamlin, which we'll touch upon a little bit today, but also we could talk about Tua and concussions. So there's a lot of things that have changed throughout the NFL year. And as I thought through this fall and thinking about what I was going to talk about, it changed, especially 3 weeks ago. So today I'm going to talk about a little bit about my path to being a team physician for the Bengals. It's a little bit of a different path than is typical. I'm an emergency physician. I'm a sports medicine physician, and that's a little bit rare. There's only about 3 of us emergency-trained team physicians in the NFL right now. I'm also going to talk about my role as a physician, our medical staff, how we work together to provide care as a unit to our players, to our coaches, and to the organization. And then finally, I'm going to touch on the Damar Hamlin incident from January 2nd. Again, I didn't think I would be talking about that a couple months ago when we planned this. But we'll talk about what that experience was like, what the preparation was for it, and the team surrounding that. So to start, a little bit about myself. As Jack summarized briefly, I grew up on the west side of Cincinnati. I grew up in Delhi, so I'm a proud Delhesian, if there's any of you out there. I grew up cheering on the Bengals and the Reds. I was active in sports. I remember going to Riverfront Stadium and to my first Bengals game, sitting up in the green seats. I got into football a little bit later. I had always loved baseball, and I remember sitting next to my dad in the green seats, and I couldn't understand why a touchdown was worth 6 points. And I still don't understand that, why a touchdown's worth 6 points, but it didn't make sense. 1 run in baseball, but nonetheless, as Jack mentioned, I went to St. Xavier High School. I was active in athletics there. I then went on and signed with Davidson College in North Carolina, which is made famous by Steph Curry. And I signed there and played a year of college football. I went down and played outside linebacker there and then switched to wide receiver, which, as you could suffice it to say, probably didn't go very well, as you can imagine, from an outside linebacker switching to wide receiver. So I did end up transferring, but that was one of the greatest years of my life because that's where I met my wife, Emily. So I didn't walk away with a degree from Davidson, but I walked away with Emily, and that was more special. So I transferred to Ohio State for undergrad. I studied sciences, and I worked in a biomedical research lab studying tuberculosis for a couple years. I actually discussed pursuing a PhD at that time and going into science and being very research-based. But instead, I decided to pursue medical school, and I became a true Buckeye at that time, staying at Ohio State for medical school and spending about 9 years in total in Columbus. So while in medical school, I thought from my previous research experience that I would go into infectious diseases. I thought I was going to be a hospitalist or internal medicine. But because of my exposure up there with some really great mentors and people that guided me and my experience in the emergency room, I really wanted to go and help people in their time of need. So I was drawn to emergency medicine because of the breadth, because of being able to take care of anything, anytime, anyone that walked in, as it dealt from lacerations, simple lacerations, to heart attacks, and the acuity is what really drew me, and I saw that as a true physician, at least in that early training. So I then went on to pursue residency, and I convinced my wife Emily, who's from Philadelphia, to come back home to Cincinnati, where I did a 4-year emergency medicine residency here at University of Cincinnati. We trained there for 4 years. Part of our training at University of Cincinnati is actually being physicians on air care. And I credit a lot of this to a lot of who I am and the physician today, as well as the stuff that occurred on the sideline on January 2nd, because to me, this was some of the best training that you could have. We start as second-year residents on air care, and it really forces you to be independent. It forces you to trust your gut, and it really creates that autonomy early on. And set aside, it also teaches you out-of-hospital medicine, which we saw was very prominent with Damar Hamlin on January 2nd. So another person in this picture, if you can see, this is all of our this was second year of residency when we took this picture. And to the bottom right, that's myself, but in the top left, you'll see one of my residency classmates. This is from 2012, and that is Dr. Woods Curry, who again is going to become important in the Damar Hamlin incident. So after residency, I chose to do additional training, and I chose to do a fellowship in primary care sports medicine. That's a fairly rare path out of emergency medicine. But I saw a correlation between sideline medicine, being a team physician, and again, the breadth and the acuity in dealing with injuries in athletes. And I saw a direct correlation from emergency medicine to sports medicine. So a lot of people ask, what does a primary care sports medicine fellowship entail, and what is that training about? Well, essentially, it's additional training in orthopedics. It is additional training in non-surgical treatments for orthopedics. It's training in concussion management, general medicine, emergency action plans. We work alongside orthopedic surgeons to actually care for the entire athlete, for the whole athlete, other than just strictly, surgical orthopedic intervention. So during fellowship, I worked with Miami University Athletics, some Red Hawks, some love and honor in the room, I heard. And there I learned how to be a team physician and the nuances of sideline medicine and caring for athletes. So after fellowship, I accepted a position at UC where I've been for the past 7 years. And I currently have dual appointments in the Departments of Orthopaedics. I have a clinic where I see musculoskeletal injuries and orthopedic injuries during the week. And then I also have an appointment in the Department of Emergency Medicine where I work down at UC and do shifts as an attending in the emergency department. So my first year out of fellowship in 2017, I stayed on as a team physician with Miami University Athletics, and that year was my first interaction with an NFL sideline. So that year, I worked as an unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant, or a UNC. And so a lot of the TUA situation and concussion situation has brought a lot of light to who these people and individuals are. So I worked as 1 year. They're the individuals that wear red hats on the sideline, and they're employed by the NFL. They're independent concussion evaluators, and we work with team physicians to work with a player who potentially has a concussion. Fortunately for me, I did that for 1 year, and then the Bengals head athletic trainer, Paul Sparling, he was looking to expand their primary care sports medicine team, and he really liked the idea of an emergency medicine trained physician on the sideline. So suffice it to say, after 2 interviews with him and 6 months after graduating fellowship, in 2018, I found myself as a Bengals team physician. And that was actually about 5 days after our third child, Samantha, was born. So that's where I've been for 5 years, and this is the team that we work with. And so I joined a team of physicians and athletic trainers to help take care of players, staff, and again, in the organization. So there are 5 athletic trainers that work with the Bengals and 5 physicians. Okay, this is a representative image. This is actually us in London in 2019, the first time we played the Rams over there. Unfortunately, that was a very difficult season, 2019, but we were able to get Joe Burrow as the first number 1 pick, so it worked out. But this is essentially the team within the team. And this is our team of physicians. So these are the 5 physicians, much happier times at the Super Bowl here. But these are our team of physicians that helps take care of athletes. So we have 3 orthopedic surgeons on staff. We have Mark Galloway, Kevin Riley, and Brian Growie, who are in the middle there. Mark Galloway is our head team physician. The other 2 are orthopedic surgeons. And then to the bottom right there is Ed Young, who is a internist and a primary care specialist through Christ Hospital. And then myself to the left. And we all have different unique niches. I think of myself being EM and sports medicine trained as kind of an interplay between the two, between the primary care side of sports medicine as well as the orthopedic side and, of course, the emergent or urgent side. So again, in this way, we each work together. I think we're a unique team with different specialties to provide really a full breadth of care to the Cincinnati Bengals. So my role, personally, I typically deal with concussions, I deal with lacerations, eye trauma, chest abdominal trauma, including rib fractures, pulmonary contusions. I've seen chest CTs of players that look like they were in car accidents. No joke. It's truly impressive what these individuals and these players, the amount of trauma and what these guys go through, and it really gives you a new respect for what they do with our bodies and put them on the line. But part of my role as well is general medical care and a little bit of primary care medicine, and that includes players, staff, coaches, and even family. This also included my tie back to my possibly being an infectious disease doctor. I led the team as the lead COVID physician, and those are a couple of years I'd probably like to forget, to be honest. But as a team, as a medical team, we attend weekly meetings, we attend training rooms, we travel to all home and away games. We participate in medical evaluation of all players at the NFL Combine, where we'll be going in a couple weeks. And then essentially we're on call for any medical need for the team. For me, a typical Bengals week on an away week during the season, Saturday afternoon, if we're away, we travel in the afternoon. We got a chartered flight, land in the away city Saturday evening. Get up Sunday, we go a few hours early to the game, take care of some needs before the game. And then we have a 60-minute meeting with the away team physicians and the emergency action team. This was brought to light with Damar Hamlin's case. This happens before every single game, and we get together and decide who's going to be a code leader, who is going to take care of what in an emergency medical situation. As I said, during the game, I typically take care of concussions, chest trauma, abdominal trauma, eye trauma, and pretty much anything in between. You can think of pretty much anything that could happen in a NFL game. The next day, usually on a Monday, for my typical week, in between clinics, in between my orthopedic clinic, I'll go down and check players who have been injured. And then on Wednesdays, we have a morning athletic training room, and then after that is when we meet with the owners and the management team to discuss injury reports, who's going to be good for the game so they can make roster moves and have predictions for the Sunday evaluation. And then again, on top of all that, we're on call for anything else that comes up. So suffice it to say, my phone is always on, and Emily has it over there. So, one common misconception is that as our team of physicians, we don't solely work for the team. I really don't know any NFL physician who solely works for the team. All of us have clinics, we all have ORs, we all work for different hospital systems around the city, and this is essentially just an extra piece of what we do day to day. In fact, on paper, and I think Emily would probably disagree, but it's about 15 to 20% of my time. But a couple things. So being on the NFL sideline, no question, it's a very cool job. I've got the best seat in the house to watch the game, but it's a little different than being a fan of the game. And there's a couple things I've learned as I've been on the sideline. I often have to tell Emily that Sunday is work for me, and I've learned that it is a lot of work, actually. But I do, I watch the game differently.
Martha, Julie, and Lisa, 10 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren, and also 2 stepsons, 2 stepdaughters, and many step-grandchildren.
Is that Kansas City? Oh, man. Just like a dagger. So I watch the game differently, I would say. Not necessarily following the ball, a carrier, and essentially we are constantly looking, I'm constantly checking for a player to get up, see if he stumbles, see if he wobbles, just to see if there's anything that would make a hit different to where we need to pull him and evaluate that player. I'll be honest, whenever T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd go over the middle, my heart stops a little bit, I hold my breath, or whenever Joe Burrow decides to leave the pocket. Especially during that first year, he's learned to slide a little bit more. But every time one of them goes over the middle, I hold my breath until they get up. And that's what we do as team physicians. We watch everybody get up. We watch after the play. We watch the full play go through. So one thing I've always been taught as well in my training as a team physician is that I really, unfortunately, have to leave my fandom at home. And that's tough growing up in Cincinnati. But with this position, you really need to be an unbiased physician evaluating the players. Sometimes you need to pull a player out of a game when he doesn't want to, when a coach doesn't want to, but you really need to put their health and safety first. And that's one of the hardest things to do, but it's one of the things we need to do on the sideline. But with that note, the past years have been quite a lot of fun, and there are times when I have to throw away my team physician card and just kind of enjoy the moment. Let's see if we get this one. Right there. There we go. 2021 was quite the year. 2020 was quite the year as well. So with that note, I'm going to switch roles a little bit here, and we're going to talk about the Damar Hamlin incident. So we're going to switch a little bit of focus. So to start, I've heard if you're going to have a medical emergency, the NFL sideline is a pretty good place to have it happen, and that's not far from the truth. At every NFL game, aside from team physicians and trainers, we have an emergency medical team. That team is made up of an airway management physician, an AMP, who is usually an ER physician, an ER-trained physician with specialized equipment and specialized training to intubate or protect the player's airway and support them while they're on the field. There's also a code leader, and that is usually the airway management physician who will lead a resuscitation and cardiac arrest. There is also something called a VTML, so a visiting team medical liaison, who is also an emergency room physician on the visiting sideline. They are there to help be a liaison for the visiting team if anyone goes to the emergency department and help out if anyone needs anything. On top of that, there are 2 respiratory therapists. There's a team of 4 to 5 medics. We have two ambulances at the stadium, and then a lot of specialized equipment where we can bring the hospital to the field. So essentially, any given Sunday or Monday, we have about 25 physicians, a lot of them highly specialized in care, on the sideline to take care of these NFL athletes. So this emergency medical team prepares with us as Bengals staff. We prepare in the spring and the summer. We run simulations. We meet. We go over actions with certain medical situations, who's going to do what, who's going to perform certain procedures. And that included the scenario that occurred on January 2nd. So on January 2nd, and I have to think this is fortuitous because this goes back to our air care days, because that day, our airway medical physician was Woods Curry in the top left there. The VTML was Jason McMullen, who was one of my attendees, one of my residency learners, and now colleagues. And then also on that field was Robbie Paulson, who is a UNC and an ER physician that works with us in the emergency department. So on that field that day were 4 UC ER physicians who had worked together for 13 years. And I think that fact went so far in his outcome and his resuscitation. So we had always planned, we had always drilled in an event like this, that this team would work together interchangeably to cognitively offload one another. So when Damar Hamlin collapsed, the Buffalo Bills trainers immediately went onto the field. Personally, I didn't see him collapse. I was watching T. Higgins get up and breathing a sigh of relief when he got up. But immediately their trainers noticed that something was different. This wasn't just an unconscious player. They called for the airway physician. They activated the emergency response, and the airway physician was at the head of the bed. So at that point, we didn't know during this incident whether it was a head injury, whether it was a neck injury, because there was trauma involved. So immediately his helmet and shoulder pads were removed. The medics went on the field. They hooked him up to the monitor. They supported his breathing. And after that, we pretty quickly realized he was in cardiac arrest. He was in something called ventricular fibrillation. So chest compressions were started, defibrillator pads were placed, shock was delivered, and we got a pulse back. We then placed him on a backboard, and myself, Woods Curry, and Jason McMullen went to the ambulance. We stabilized him. We intubated him in the ambulance, and then he went off to the hospital. So all in all, during this resuscitation, a lot of things happened quickly, and the best way that I could describe it is controlled chaos. And I say chaos in a good way because in that instant, about 15 to 20 things happened in one or 2 minutes. Everyone knew their role, and that was the important part. We had practiced this, we had drilled it, we had worked together. Dr. Woods Curry led the resuscitation. He was clear and direct. He used closed-loop communication. And I can't say enough how much it meant that this team of physicians that was out there were the ones I had worked with. We had worked in the trauma bay together. We had done it together, and that translated immensely to what happened on that field and was a key component to why we were so successful. So in the end, this was a difficult resuscitation. There were a lot of variables. The difficult thing about football is that there's trauma, so you don't know if it's a head or a neck, and that's what made this very difficult. But in the end, we had a very good outcome. So I'm thankful for everyone involved, thankful for the Damar Hamlin family, obviously thankful for his really, really good outcome. Unfortunately, years working in the emergency department, I've learned that you can do everything right as a physician, but sometimes you don't get the best outcome. So that night on January 2nd, when I was driving home, I wasn't sure what the outcome would be. But I did know that I was proud of our team. I was proud of the circumstances we performed in and knew that we gave him the best shot he had. So I firmly believe that his outcome was not only because of our planning and preparation, obviously his strength, his conditioning, his strong heart and lungs, but also because of the positive prayer and thoughts that went his way. I also learned early in my training that as physicians we do the best we can, but ultimately the decision sometimes isn't ours and there's another hand at play. So to that end, I'll end, and I'd say that I believe Damar is going to do something really, really good with this, good things with his life, spread AED awareness, spread CPR awareness, and hopefully make our sidelines a little better. So with that, thank you. I can take any questions.
Can you take the questions after the Casey? Dr. Betz, thank you so much for that inspiring tale. Talk about the biggest win of the season. My gosh, thank you so much for what you've done for Damar. Thank you for what you've done for our city. And in recognition and appreciation for you coming and sharing this inspiration with us, we'd like to share the 4-way test and Rotary Club of Cincinnati coin with you. In addition, we're going to make a donation in your honor to End Polio Now, which is a 4-decade effort to eradicate wild polio across the planet. And we're this close. Just got a few cases left. And We just need some energy for the final push. Dr. Betz will take some questions after we do the Kansas City shout-out. Kansas City, I don't know if President Eric can hear me. Maybe we'll come down here and show you the crowd here. It was a nail biter. President Eric, can you hear us? Maybe we're on mute. Maybe you're on mute. I don't know.
He's talking to us.
Hey, I guess are we live?
Getting there.
We're getting there. All right, we're still getting there.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me.
Hey, we got you. Fantastic. Hey, Club 13, Club 17 congratulates you on a big win on Sunday. It was a nail biter. We had Dr. Betz here, the team physician from the Cincinnati Bengals. He was giving us the sideline insight. Well, we are all about building goodwill and better friendships. We're going to honor our wager. We're going to cheer on Kansas City Chiefs with a little Red Kingdom. Red Kingdom. Red Kingdom. Club 17 wishes you well in the Super Bowl, and like Joe Burrow says, go win it now. Thanks for the fun, Kansas City 13.
Thank you so much.
So they're just beginning their meeting. We're just ending ours. I'm glad it could work out and overlap.
There was only 3 seconds left? Yeah. Well,
They didn't seem very enthusiastic.
I didn't hear what he said. Dr. Betz, I'm sorry we had to cut you short for a shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs. There's something just, ironic, deeply ironic about that. But we have a few meetings today. We have a classification meeting in the Julep Room, 3rd floor. We have a World Affairs Committee meeting in the Boardroom 4 on the mezzanine. The Environmental Sustainability Committee is meeting in the back of the room by the piano. The RILA Committee is meeting up here near the flag and up here in the front of the room. The 131 Club is going to be enjoying an adult beverage at the Bromwell Hearth Room at 125 4th Street for anyone interested. Next week we have David Pepper. He's going to be talking about life lessons from writing, art, and politics. Until then, make it a great week. Meeting adjourned.